covering all your favorite parts of the 50-yard fight. This is the Inside the Walls podcast with Zach Kyleman and Jim Mernier.
Welcome all to another edition of the Inside the Walls podcast. Zach Kyleman hosting here once again. Like I said, my first full week back from my vacation, as you might have heard on our earlier episodes this week. By the way, go check those out. Alongside my good buddy, pal, co-host, the man that held down the fort, like I mentioned on our Rewind episode, Jim Mernier, back in studio. Jim, here we are, week 14.
Week 14's here, and I got internet. Yay!
Yeah! No phone emblem, baby. Your face.
Yes. Live from the library, outside of the library. It's the only way I can get internet.
Now, because he's going to educate you.
Yeah. For the people out there, still, I'm now on hour 20 without internet or cell phone.
Jesus.
At the house. So, yeah, it should have been on 4 a.m. this morning. It is 10 o'clock Eastern that night. So, yeah, not fun, not happy about, but hey, I'm here at the library. They're not going to tell me to go anywhere. I'm not doing nothing legally because public service. Anyways, with that, ladies and gentlemen, it's week 14 of the National Arena League. And honestly, to look at it from a perspective, chaos is going to happen this week.
Oh, it shall.
And breaking news is going to happen. Technically, we got breaking news right now here on the National Arena League.
A little unexpected. I think I'll preface this that our podcast account, we have one or two great fans that message us constantly on there. And this was tipped off to us and we went, okay, let's kind of reconvene and get a little more clarity. And then, well, it's kind of hard to not get more direct from the source than the actual owner himself, Mr. Dr. Robert Twaddell, over in Fayetteville. Folks are probably wondering, what is the name of the upcoming Fayetteville expansion franchise? Well, Dr. Twaddell, or as he's nicknamed the Doc, that was what was revealed to me, by the way. He is broke that to us via our own social posts, via talking with him. Between me and Jim here, and here he goes. The official name of the Fayetteville NAL expansion franchise, and we did get clearance for this, by the way. So if we talk off show, we'll say we did get a little bit of clearance. The Fayetteville Mustangs will be playing in 2023. So there we go. The Fayetteville Mustangs, and my explanation was that it's a bit of a connection to the Fayetteville University Broncos. Over there in Fayetteville, North Carolina. So that kind of connection there with kind of the naming. And yeah, there's your name. More stuff's going to be progressing, of course, as we know. Both of us have talked to the Doc himself, and like I said, he's confident about where it's going to be going, and he's getting things already underway. So that was a bit of a surprise, but no, he revealed that to us. And like I said, we got clearance from the league about that. At least one of the main league officials from that. So the Fayetteville Mustangs are coming to the area, to the Fort Bragg area, at least of North Carolina 2023. So be ready. Check it out. More stuff probably with the logo, the social media, that's going to be coming later. But yeah, they're getting things in gear. So congrats. You are now in Stampede country, everybody.
So is a Stampeder the same as a Mustang?
I feel like that's like the
same.
I mean, same premise. I just think it's like maybe a nickname. You know, are you linking Calgary up there in the CFL?
Yeah, I was just looking at the logo. Like the logo for a Stampeder looks like a Mustang.
Oh, sure.
But we can look and talk about logos. Are they going to be like the old Milwaukee Mustang logo, or are they going to be like the SMU logo, or is it going to be like the logo up in Calgary? Or are they the Calgary Stampeders? Yeah, Calgary.
Yeah, it's Calgary. It's Calgary. And that's a good question.
So we don't know any information on that. I just want to be how unique is it. Don't copy the Broncos. Just don't.
Well, I think, and you and I had a good idea too. Military base. What's one of the most famous fighter airplanes in U.S. Air Force history?
P-51.
P51 Mustang. So you can go that route too. Now that's it. Like I said, the name, it's Mustangs. Do we know what it? Pretty sure it's going to reference the horses based on talking with the doc himself. But yeah, we were allowed to run with that. We got clearance for that. Otherwise, we'll be on talking the other side. But trust me, it's we're good. This is the real deal. So welcoming in Fayetteville. Good to talk with the doc himself, and away we go again. And he gave us some kind words about last week, hyping up, or earlier this week, that is, hyping up the team in Fayetteville. So, looking forward to talking to some Fayetteville fans, hopefully, much like the San Antonio base. Like I said, we've gotten to meet plenty of San Antonio fans. I'm excited next year when we get to meet more Fayetteville fans, hopefully, some that can come on to our Discord, by the way, which you should join if you're curious to jump on there. We got a good community going on our Inside the Walls Discord. We'll link that in our YouTube video too. So yeah, exciting times, man. Another step in the way, something that was a little bit of a surprise to us, but there you have it, folks. At least you got a name. Starting that way.
Yeah, kind of interesting. Breaking news of the new team last week, and then the Robert can reach out to us and give us the name of the team this week. So yeah, one thing about the arena game, and one thing about just expansion team spirit, you got to get ahead of the game. You got to go. Once you announce what you are, team name, now next goal is social media, all platforms, tickets, venue, field, promotion, community work, a lot of stuff. And got to get ahead of the game. And right now, I think they're at the right mindset. So I'm really looking forward to Fayetteville in 2023.
Absolutely. As we move into the future, we got to still stay in the present here, though. It is week 14 in the National Arena League. And as we do on every regular show, as we did have to, like I said, you held down the fort last week, but now we get to go back to our power rankings here going into week 14. A little bit of a shuffle, I think, is what's going to be taking place. But I know between you and I, as we've been doing more so kind of more streamlining our process of the power rankings, Orlando and San Antonio, they're going to be, and mainly they're staying at 6 and 5 respectively. They're not playoff teams. That's kind of the basis, at least for myself, on my choices with there. I do give mad respect for them upsetting Jacksonville last week for sure. And they are definitely going to be up those the squirrely team this week when they go to Albany. They go to Albany, play the Empire. But power rankings to me at this point, you put the playoff teams at 1 through 4, so that's why we got them at 5 and 6. And here's mine real quick while we're doing this. So I'm going to go bottom to top. I got Carolina at 4, Columbus at 3. Carolina at 4, Jacksonville at 3, Columbus 2, Albany sitting at my number 1 currently at this time. Where are you sitting at with these, Jim?
Similar. I'm the same.
Okay.
It's just how honestly we look at the rankings, and my opinion is this: the best team in the league right now is going to miss the playoffs, and that is the San Antonio Gunslingers. They're just on fire. You're telling me that they have a combined 3-point difference in 2 games? They would have won literally 7 in a row. That's with the losses to Jacksonville and to Columbus. But yeah, they're one of the hot, and of course they had the guaranteed was a loss against Albany the second time. But yeah, I got Orlando, San Antonio, Carolina, Jacksonville, Columbus, and Albany. Albany's default number 1 because Jacksonville lost, and Albany has won and got to get an advantage. Of course, Columbus got up there too. So it's interesting. And finally, we're going to a time in the season where we can stop doing power rankings because they don't matter after this week. They don't.
Yeah, I mean, this is probably our last power ranking. We might do one more just as a final regular season. But yeah, once the playoffs hit, I mean, it's every man's fair game. Power rankings don't matter in the grand scheme, but this is where we think they are, in terms of just how teams have been playing right now, And of course, questions. I mean, as we're going to talk here with this matchup for Carolina, Tommy Grade was brought in, very much status up in the air with that, this whole week. And so that whole question mark, again, quarterback, it's even more important in an arena than even the outdoor game. So you evaluate the rest of the talent in the playoffs. And this is no offense to Malik Henry because he's still, I think, trying to get down everything still. He's getting better, but Arvell Nelson, Mason Espinoza, and surprise. I mean, at the beginning of the season, you'd say surprising, not anymore. Sam Castronova under Damon Ware's system. I mean, they've been playing out of their minds.
Mhm.
I'll even add a nod. Castronova to me is one of the two guys in my MVP race at this moment in time. It would be Bain as well for a third if he was still playing right now. But Sam's up there as one of my MVP candidates. And I think it's just the surprise nature of him breaking out the way he did after coming in week 2. But you look at that. I mean, Carolina, to me, that's why they're down there. They got plenty of talent coming in with like Malachi Jones, Joe Hills. He came in last week. He performed like he hadn't really left the field at time. Like he hadn't stepped away really.
Mhm.
And they have the weapons. You gotta be able to deliver. So I just think experience here is where I'm ranking them. That's kind of how I put it this time. Especially like when you have Mason in here, coming off inactives and guiding you to 2 straight wins, putting you in that spot, and he'll be available and he'll be there for the playoffs for you. With that defense, it's hard for me to not put him below at least put him at 2. I got to do it that way.
Oh yeah, it's so hard to do the rankings right now, especially with the 4 playoff teams.
That's true too.
Earlier in the yesterday on the rewind, all 4 teams are separated by 1 game, so technically all 4 teams are about even with each other. Everyone's beating each other, and vice versa. So again, like we stated in the Mason Espinoza interview, and what we stated yesterday is that me and Zach would not be surprised if the 3 seeds hosting the 4 seed for the title. That's what this type of season is this year. Anything can happen. These 4 teams have the defenses, they have the offenses to win it all. And my ranking shows that, because 4 can be 1, 2 can be 4, vice versa. It's so hard to differentiate these 2 teams. And honestly, give me 2 extra more weeks, a 16-week season, and San Antonio's in there. They just ran out of the games. So, but yeah, that's how I think my rankings are overall. I'm done with power rankings. That's it. Now we're doing to the 14 playoff, which is what we do here in our country. We do playoffs that determine champions, not points.
Time for the meat and potatoes of your final walkthrough, the final regular season walkthrough as
Correct.
well. Gearing up, like I said, a lot of seeding implications. I think we really should touch on a few of those while we're at it, because honestly, I mean, all 4 of these teams now, some can't fully get the 1, but the 1 seed is still pretty wide open for most of the top 4 in the playoffs. Even the 2, really, that second home game is what I think everyone's going, all right, we got to at least secure 1. I think that's what most people are paying attention to right now.
Yeah, 2 teams have a chance for the 1 seed. 3 teams have a chance for the 2 seed, and every single team. Albany cannot drop further than 2, and then Carolina, Columbus, Jacksonville can be either the 3, and Jacksonville, Carolina can be the 4 or 2. So it's amazing that all 4 teams have a chance to host a playoff game. And what we say, honestly, we could see deja vu from last year's playoffs, just replace Orlando with Jacksonville. And sorry, it's lag. My bad. My apologies.
Let's try. Yeah, I guess let's reset, because you said, can we see a repeat of last year's championship? Was where it cut off.
Oh, okay. I think we're going to see a repeat of last year's playoff bracket. Just replace Jacksonville with Carolina, or Jacksonville with Orlando. That's that possibly we can see that, and we can also see Albany host Carolina, or Albany host Jacksonville, Jacksonville host Columbus, or Columbus host Jacksonville. There's a lot of different possibilities, and Week 4 team will determine that. What sucks is that all 3 games are on the same time, and I'll be in attendance at the Jacksonville game, so it's gonna be kind of difficult. But then again, we will find out who our postseason teams are, and we'll break that down next week. with more contact with those two playoff teams, the 4 playoff teams and the 2 playoff games. So it's going to be very interactive next week. So I think we need to break down these games so we can get everyone ready for the final week of the season. And also, we finally got an official full season end since the COVID year. So 14 weeks, no games got delayed, nothing serious happened. So we're here. Year 2 of the Inside the Walls podcast, previewing into the playoffs. So let's get going. Week 14.
Yeah, let's hit this thing and hit the ground running. And I think we'll get this going here. We're going to travel up to Albany here. The Gunslingers now get to travel to the Empire. Previous 2 matchups were at the Freeman Coliseum. This time it's at MVP Arena. Empire, as we've talked, they had a 3-game skid mid-season. So far, they have flipped that back around to a 3-game winning streak of their own. Both these two, honestly, we talked about the shootout with Mason about them 2 weeks prior with the Lions and the Gunslingers, how that was 2 teams hitting the 70+ mark. These two, I think, have that potential again. It really does come down to with the setup and what we've seen with San Antonio in these last 2 weeks. How many mistakes do they make and how clean of a game can they play? Because honestly, they could have won the last 2 weeks and had a second one. We could be talking about them clinching a playoff berth possibly and making a great comeback and turnaround, but they are squirrely. This is a squirrely team that is not a playoff it's playoff caliber. It just came on late. That was the only thing.
2017 Maine Mammoths. That's who the San Antonio Gunslingers are this year.
Yeah, and Albany knows they got blindsided during that 3-game losing streak against San Antonio, and they know after that last matchup, you got to play them. You got to play them and keep pace with them right away. Take advantage of any mistakes you find as you go. At least this time they get to host. That's the difference. But I'll tell you, it might not be a matchup for play. It might not be a direct matchup for playoff seeding, but Albany definitely has a task at hand to end the year.
Well, it's going to be an intriguing game. It's not really a spoiler game. You can say, like you hear about NFL teams that are trying to get that playoff spot. They get spoiled by like the Jacksonville Jaguars or something like that. That especially the city that you live in, the Colts, they were bound for the playoffs and they lose to the Jaguars.
Oh, geez. No one could stop talking about that.
That won't happen in Albany. Oh, yeah, of course. Like, especially here in Jacksonville, that was our Super Bowl.
Oh, yeah.
But overall, when you look at the team in this game, Albany literally can take the day off and lose and still host home field advantage for both rounds. They need some help, meaning Carolina needs to lose and Columbus needs to lose. And, well, they don't matter. They have tiebreaker with Columbus anyways. But there's a chance where they can lose, Jacksonville wins, and Columbus loses, right?
Yep.
And if that does happen, every single team in the playoffs will be technically tied by the games back differential. Because Columbus needs to win. So if that happens, everyone is even playing field. Just problem is those all the tiebreakers go into effect, and that leans in favor of the Albany Empire as they have the season sweep over the Sharks. They lost the series to Cobras, and they won the series against Columbus and Jacksonville. So whatever happens positively for the Cobras or the Lions and the Sharks doesn't matter. Albany has tiebreakers, but if Carolina is the positive, it hurts Albany. So there's so many different things. But for a team that is in Albany, how they, like I stated before last show, they are a different beast when Cisse and Nick Hag are in the game. And Damian Ware has been the X factor in that offense. And Castronova, again, is also good. I look at this game and I just see a hot, on fire team in San Antonio going there, trying to end the season on a high note, win 5 games in the year, a team that has basically surprised everyone that we all thought was going to win 2 games. Some of us had 3 games. But do I see that happen? Do I see a spoiler happen? No, I think Albany is going to try and secure that home field advantage for the playoffs. Honestly, I think they have a solid team, but San Antonio is going to be a type of team where you've seen in Columbus a couple of weeks ago and what you see in Jacksonville. They're not going to bow down. Will I be stunned if Albany loses to San Antonio? No, because technically I think San Antonio is the better team right now because of the second half of the season, but Albany has a better overall body of work this season than San Antonio. That's why they're going to be the 1 seed, and San Antonio is going to be missing the postseason. But will I say San Antonio wins this game? No, I don't think San Antonio wins this game. I think Albany does win this game and clinch the overall playoffs as a number 1 seed, and they just wait who they will play. It's either Jacksonville or Carolina in the first round for them to play. So it's going to be a very unique game. The keys to the game is basically have the same mentality you did against Orlando and trying to win the battle of possessions, because what things that I've seen over the last couple of weeks against San Antonio is that they've capitalized on all their possessions. They have not been killing themselves with penalties and turnovers. They've been playing some good football, but I just don't think travel to Albany. There's the history of getting to Albany by travel in this league is apparent from every organization that's gone to Albany. I think that does wear on the team a little bit, and that's a long distance from San Antonio to Albany. So I give the advantage to the Albany Empire, home field advantage as well, in a close win to end the season.
Yeah, you know what? I'm gonna go because I got 2 things here. First off, I gotta say, Alex McSwain, you are awesome. I got one of these shirts. This is the same shirt Fred Shaw wears at home games, by the way. So this is an honor. Not many people have these, by the way. So I'm gonna go with the fandom for the Gunslingers here, and I'm just gonna do this and shoot from the hip. Here's why. First things first, they got nothing to lose. The teams that have nothing to lose, they're the scary ones. Okay, they will come out and pull out all the stops. That's the first thing. Second thing, you want to go out with a bang, as no pun intended, as you are, of course. Of course, you're trying to finish on a hot note. You know, you're on this hot streak as the Gunslingers. You're having great vibes as an organization right now. So, I mean, why, go out and put your best ball, play loose, play fast. And I mean, they've beaten the same Empire team before. So this isn't impossible. I really think it comes down for San Antonio. It really comes down to if you can play a clean game, you can score points, keep up with them, take your opportunities when needed. You can pull this out. I mean, they were able to swing a completely different direction against Jacksonville. They got a few key stops, and were able to get out ahead fast. If you're able to do that against Albany, that helps you, I think, a lot. And the Empire, they definitely have. I mean, they've shown last 2 contests against these guys, even if they're down 3 scores, there's still a chance this could be 1 score. I really just think it comes down to San Antonio coming out and punching first. And I'm going to go with them. Like I said, I also say I would feel wrong not picking them with this bad boy on right now. But there is a logical way to a victory here. So I'm going with the San Antonio Gunslingers for the upset. And I'm also going because I want some chaos in the seating. Why not throw it a little more of a wrench in there? Why not? Everyone's just going to have a party. We'll just do it that way. And the thing that's fun with this, as much as it doesn't help for us watching all the games at the same time, it does make the seating and all the eyeballs in the back of coaches' heads that are trying to keep tabs on everyone else in the league much more interesting. I imagine all the broadcast crews are going to be like gauging the live streams on what's the score? What's the score here? What's the score there? How are they doing? That's what's going to be happening here. And this will be one of those games because of how the Gunslingers have played at the back half of the year and what they are capable of doing when they put 100%, when they're able to 100% execute their game plan. This will be fun. I do think San Antonio can pull the upset. I'm going to go with it. I'm taking the upset this week. Why not?
All right.
I'll go with that.
No comment.
Mm-hmm.
No comment. We have a behind the scenes.
I have
between us. I'm just gonna say no comment. Just no comment.
I have my one thing for San Antonio. I want to say, continue. I want to see from Fred Shaw and his crew. Give me some more of those tight end screens. I love how they use the tight end over in San Antonio. Like, it's not used and utilized enough, I think, in the arena space, and they do it in such a great way because it's a screen. No one thinks the tackle's going to go out and get the catch, but it works so well.
Yeah, apparently Jacksonville didn't know how to stop it. They did it 4 times and got like 15 yards each
time. No
no
one knew how to protect it because you don't expect the tackle to go out and get that for about 15 every time. But sure enough, I'm not saying that they're going to do it all the time, but like, I just got to point out, I love that play. I didn't do it. I didn't say it during our rewind, but I have to put it here. that's a great use of the tight end there. And I imagine that's going to be part of the game plan. But I got San Antonio. Why not? I'm going to take them here. I think they'll finish strong on a high note, keep on with that hot streak, and at least make it a good moment for the NAL in terms of an expansion franchise that flipped the script on what people were thinking this was going to be at the beginning of the year. Either way, win or lose, awesome story. They're going to be in it looks like for the long haul after this season. So great to hear. As we continue down the line, we're going to hit up with two teams that really, like I said, destiny wise in terms of relationship, destiny wise in terms of how this year's gone. I mean, you can't talk about one without the other. It seems if you're talking the NAL, in my opinion, it's the Cobras going to the Sharks for round 4 of their series. The one that's the rubber match, really, in terms of who's going to, rubber match is 3. 4, yeah. It's more if you're just trying to split. Ignore me. Ignore the rubber match comment. Nonetheless, Carolina, last matchup between these two, it was in the Shark Tank. Mm-hmm. It was a packed crowd, the largest crowd of the Shark Tank all year. It's probably going to be close to, if not better, this time around Military Appreciation Night, I bet. And the ticket sales, by the way, they show it too. If you look at that, there's like little to none in the main stretches down the dasher boards up the rows. It's going to be a loud crowd.
You want me to show my shock face? Like, seriously?
You don't have to.
No? Okay.
I'm just saying. It'll be a good crowd there. Malik Henry, I will say, I bet he threw his tape away from last time these two played.
Yeah.
And I think Coach Rez knows they need to get him comfortable and get the offense in a good rhythm as fast as possible, because as we've talked all year since Arvell Nelson has started and joined in for the Sharks, replacing Malik Henry, it's all about out sprinting your opponent in Jacksonville this year. Mm-hmm. And really, Carolina has to be, you best hope you get the Malik Henry that faced the Lions 2 matchups prior, because otherwise, I mean, it's going to have to come down to a good defensive effort. That's as simple as that. The Sharks are going to score their points with Devin Wilson out or another. Nyquan Murray will get his scores. Rob Jones will just get a bigger focus. Yeah, that's how it'll happen. But I know Coach Rez, one way or another, and I'm expecting it's Malik Henry playing in this contest. So they're going to be in for a challenge, even with having Malachi Jones and Joe Hills, at least understanding Malachi should be there. Joe, we know will.
Yeah.
And they got DJ, they got Kendrick, but you have to have the QB play. You got to have them in game ready mode here. And it's a crucial one, could be a chance for 1 seed, or at the very least locking down that home playoff matchup.
Mm-hmm. It's for Carolina is unique. If they win, they're guaranteed a home playoff game. They lose, they can be as worse as the 4 seed. Mm-hmm. Basically on how the standing projects. It's strange how unique this is going to be. But you're going to have Malik Henry go into the Shark Tank again. The last time he was in there, he didn't look good. But he does have more receivers around him, gives him an extra week to practice with all the receivers that came in. But for Jacksonville side of things, you got a big blow. You got to replace Devin Wilson again. But Naquan Murray, Rob Jones has stepped up. Williams has stepped up. There's been people that have stepped up in place for Devin, and I think Jackson needs to do it. But the key thing is, from my opinion, is Arvell Nelson. Does he still continue an MVP performance this season so far, and lead Jacksonville to a win? So for Jacksonville's sake, they win and a Columbus loss, they're home for the 2nd seed. So the second playoff home game, or the first playoff home game, and the chance to possibly host a championship game if things fall their way. I, for one, I'm tending to side this game with Cobras for some odd reason. Okay. I think the Cobras, they're prepared. This is the second time going to Shark Tank. I just think they had it. They're tired. They're going to try and finish it off and at least get the 2 seed and wrap it up. But then again, the last time I picked against the Jacksonville Sharks, they scored 50 points in the first half against Columbus. So possibly it can happen, may not. But overall, I just got to say that this game is going to come down to Malik Henry play. If Malik Henry goes in there like he did a couple weeks ago against Columbus, I think they beat the Sharks. If he plays like he did 2 weeks ago and he played against the Sharks will win this game again. It could be another one-sided affairs. But just a word of warning: don't make Jacksonville have a playoff home game. That's a hostile environment, no matter you're the 3 seed or the 4 seed, or possibly a championship game in for the NAL. It's going to be a hostile crowd if that's happened. Carolina has a chance to put that away, because if Jacksonville loses to Carolina, they are the 4 seed and they're traveling to Albany in the first round of the playoffs, which again would be a unique game. And I've also stated before, it would be nice to see Jacksonville and Albany play each other again after the rosters have changed. But right now, it's the final game in Jacksonville. Right now, from what I've heard, they're projecting over 8,000 fans in attendance for the fan appreciation game and the military appreciation game here in Jacksonville. So it's going to be a big crowd. I like Carolina in a close one. I just don't see Jacksonville taking 3 from Carolina after what happened last week. And then again, I don't know. I may get Burley to text me or someone on the Sharks text. How dare you pick them? But yeah, I like Carolina in a close one. But Blanchard's hitting deuces early like he did in the previous game. It could be a different story. TC Stevens couldn't hit it, and Blanchard was hitting it. So it's all going to come down to uniqueness of this game. And I've been burned so many times with the Sharks right now. I just don't know. For a homer, diehard Shark fan, I am. I like Carolina this one. I think Carolina pulls off you can say it's kind of an upset, kind of, even though they have a better record. I see them pull off the upset and make Jacksonville to be the 4 seed.
Yeah. You know what? And it's funny, I'm going to actually play your role this week. I am going to flip to Jacksonville on this one. And look, you are coming off licking your wounds against San Antonio. You went to Freeman Coliseum. You had a game that personally you got down early. You did recover. Unfortunately, possession battle flipped in the opposite favor second half. You couldn't get that back even. And it came down to one final strip sack fumble recovery for a touchdown that sealed the deal. And that was kind of really the game flow for that last match against the Gunslingers was kind of a little bit flipped. It came down the last one that they played, it came down to just who had the ball last. Somehow it was going to end up being San Antonio with it last. It looked like one way or another. It just accelerated it with a strip sack. Justin Alexander was in Arvell's face all day. Right. I will say for the Cobras, it is going to come down to kind of what San Antonio was able to do. Can you get pressure on Arvell? Because if you slow down Arvell, you slow down pretty much all of the Sharks right off the bat. Not only his run threat, but also, his pinpoint passing, quick passes and all that. That's going to be key. I would say with Devin Wilson gone, sure, there is the challenge with that. However, the Sharks have done it without Devin. And I do believe that with Murray getting a little bit more of the targets, opening up that offense to where he can be focused. Rob Jones can be the good off-ball second receiver in that offense too. The Cobras have been at times leaky in the secondary. And I think that worries me with this contest. And honestly, I do want to see what Malik Henry can do against Jacksonville in that hostile environment for a second time. That's the thing. If it's going to be even louder than the last one, that will be such a harsh environment to go into. And for a playoff, stakes game that's going to be that much of an energetic atmosphere, it'll be hard. I'm not saying he can't do it, but Malik Henry, in terms of QBs in the NAL, is arguably the most boomer bust quarterback across the board this season. He's either lit up teams or he has been kind of on the opposite side to where we've got their last matchup at Jacksonville, where it was downright just harassed the whole night, couldn't get in the flow. He's got to get in the flow. I don't think Jacksonville allows him to get in the flow. That's what's going to happen. I think the crowd will be the factor here. Besides the fact that they're going to be able to keep pace, if not try and outrun Carolina at some point. So
more confidence in me.
I mean, that's just my opinion. I'm going with the Sharks though on this one. I do think it's going to be a little crazy. I think that Jacksonville, it's been, season started out rough, but they've made the adjustments and the signings necessary to where even though they are sitting, possibly could finish 500, they could sit themselves nice and pretty a little bit higher up in the standings. I think they will after this game.
All right, touche.
Yeah. So I don't know, splitting it up. I'm taking the Sharks though. But I know Coach Rez will hear that. It's funny. Coach Rez will hear that and be like, all right, game time. Here we go. Here we go. But that's my opinion. But he'll have a game plan too. I just know it.
Mhm.
That'll be such a electric, intense football game with those two franchises.
Agreed.
To me, that's my game of the week, honestly. If I'm looking across the NAL, arguably the one in Albany is my other one, but I think this one, just for the stakes alone, you got to put it as that. So,
Oh, this one has all the implications, honestly.
exactly.
So, yeah, there's some in Columbus, but it's not significant. They control their own destiny. They win, they host, they lose, they don't.
Mm-hmm.
That's simple. In
Yeah.
Jacksonville, there you got two teams that can either host every game or they're traveling every game. So it's going to be unique this weekend in Jacks.
Finally, we wrap up with the Predators visiting the Columbus Lions. Now, the Lions did a lot right for themselves last week. They well, I won't say stole, but they squeaked out a win in Carolina under the circumstances they had coming into the end of that fourth quarter stretch. And they sit nice and pretty right now in the standings. Could be hosting a home game depending on how things slide out. They just got to get a win here against Orlando, which the Predators at this point, it has been for second half of the year, it's been a rough second half in terms for Orlando, for Jeff Higgins' squad. A lot, as we've said all season, a complete game has been hard to come by for the Predators. And that is something, again, it's going to come up to end the year is, if you want to get this upset win at the Columbus Civic Center, can you put a game that has all four quarters together with all three phases of the game playing at their top level? Not to mention, the switch to Matt Parsons, he's familiar, but it has been different than Rakeem Cato. It's just been it's been a year for them is all I can tell you. And it's funny, they have stat leaders on that roster and defensive stars on the stat sheet. It's just, they can't put it all together on both sides of the ball. And so this is where they're at. This is why they're 3-7 right now in the standings, 3-8 in the standings here going into the final week of the season. So, I do think, just based on what Lions have put together so far with Mason Espinoza back, the Lions defense still being the best scoring defense in the NAL. I think this one flips. I got the Lions taking a win here, and really, I think they'll take the win, and then they just get to control their destiny. It really will come down to again. Yeah, what you're watching, that's what's going to be. Now, credit, you can't get too involved on the screen. You still got to pull off a win. You can't let Orlando come in and get the upset. Now, I will say Jeff Higgins' squad will have the same mindset as San Antonio. My thing is, I just don't think that roster is as talented as what San Antonio brings to the table at this moment in time. Or at least it doesn't have the pieces to fully operate what it wants to do. Because receivers it does. I just don't know if Matt Parsons has it to where you can run that offense so it's needed. And I also don't think defensively Orlando has gotten what it's needed at times this year. Josh Jenkins has been great, but I feel like there's been some lapses. Brendan Fuentes being out for pretty much the majority of the year has hurt them, being on IR. But I think that, those two phases have just not gelled fully for the most part all season. I just don't see it happening again tonight. I think they'll make it close. I think that it will be Orlando's going to play loose, but I still see the Lions pulling this out one way or another.
It's like deja vu what you said about the Orlando Predators this year. They can never put two quarters back to back. And even in their wins this year, it was all one bad half, one bad quarter, followed by a very good quarter. This is the final game of the season for them. Can they play spoiler where if they win, they finish on a high note and they ruin Columbus's chances of hosting the playoff game. But you can look at Orlando over the past couple of weeks. It's the same thing. Half on, half off, half on, half off. It's been very inconsistent. And they have great players on that team. And it's just inconsistency, injuries, bye weeks, quarterback situation, close losses. It's just been a roller coaster of a season for Orlando. They're going into Columbus. Again, a fan appreciation game for the Columbus Lions. I think they're going to have a good crowd there again this Saturday night. Do I see a Orlando team go into Columbus and pull off a win this time, like they did a couple years last year. No, they did last year. Excuse me. Go in the playoffs like they did last year.
Mhm.
I don't think Orlando. They haven't shown me all year that they can put two halves together. I think they're going to have the same deja vu like we had last week against them in Albany. They're going to stay with Albany the whole entire first half. Then the second half happens. The better team will pull it away, and I think that is the Columbus Lions. Now, for the Columbus Lions, you kind of control your own destiny. You win, you're home the following week. You lose, you're either traveling to Jacksonville or you're traveling to Carolina. But that's just the flip of the coin. I think they rather host than travel.
Oh yeah.
Especially I guarantee they don't want to host and travel to Jacksonville if that's going to be a chance that can happen.
Right.
But overall, if we look at the overall landscape of the league, we've said before how 8 weeks ago, we were complaining how we don't want this to be a two-team race. Well, it's not a two-team race. It's all four of them are all together now. It's literally a flip of a coin that can happen. So, again, I think Columbus pulls this game off. Orlando and San Antonio ran out of the games. This league has been there's parity in this league.
Mm-hmm.
And just based on this past weekend and looking at this weekend, I can't put my finger on who will win it all. Columbus has a team that can win it all. Albany, Jacksonville, and Carolina.
Yeah.
And I don't think this game in Columbus this weekend changes my opinion about that. And that's why I think Columbus outlasts Orlando in the first half, then pulls away in the second half. And I think they secure the number 2 seed, and they will be hosting the Jacksonville Sharks, possibly. But then again, if Columbus wins and Carolina wins, Columbus is going to Carolina. So it's chaotic, but then again, it's what we wanted. It's no two-team race this year. So again, next week when we get our playoff seeds, I may predict 2 upsets because they might happen. That's how even this league is. And if any team out there is cocky enough to think that they're the best team and no one's going to beat them, they're the ones that are going to lose. They're the ones that are going to get blindsided. Remember, the Massachusetts Pirates in 2018 thought that they were the team. They were the best team in the league. They were the 1 seed. A 4 seed Columbus Lions went up there and took them out to correct them. So no matter where you're at, first or fourth, second or third, you got to show up and play because today record doesn't mean anything next week. And that's why I think Columbus takes care of business, Carolina takes care of business, and Albany takes care of business to get ready for the 2022 NAL playoffs that start next weekend here in the National Arena League.
Any given game day. Yeah, it's usually any given Sunday, but any given game day, it's all it takes. One good performance.
Yeah.
Or in this case, if you're going to,
Saturday,
or any given Friday, any given Saturday,
possibly Tuesday,
Monday. Honestly, I mean, between these 4, it could go any way with any 4 of these.
Yeah.
It's really whoever puts the best, after week 14, whoever puts the best 2 straight together, no matter what. There's good coaches between all 4. There's great talent between all 4 of them. It should be fireworks across the board this playoff season. And we're going to get that in 2 weeks, and we'll get the full seedings after this weekend. And you and I, this is exactly what we wanted. Chaos aplenty.
Yep.
No certainty whatsoever. Let's just have fun with it.
Yeah,
Why not?
Sure.
Why not? So, folks, I hope you all enjoy week 14. Catch all the games on the NAL's YouTube page. They're all at 7:00 Eastern time on Saturday. So, honestly, if you're like me or Jim, get as many tabs open as you can and flick those things onto your computer screen because you might want to keep pace with all 3.
Or have unlimited data on your cell phone because you're going to have to if you're at the game. So,
That too. Yeah. I mean, hey, Jim's going to be over the Sharks game, it looks like.
Yep.
So he'll see that massive crowd firsthand. I can't wait to talk to you about that next week. That's all. I mean, that's nice. Like I say, hitting 8,000 plus. That's excellent for any one of these leagues at this current time. So that's awesome.
Yeah, it kind of rubs a couple fans off bad way because of the attendance we get. Let's say it's okay.
Oh, it does. That seems weird, but
Yeah.
okay.
Sorry.
Anyway. Folks, that's going to do it for our final walkthrough. Hope you enjoyed. Enjoy the games this week. Like I said, it's going to be chaotic, and we love the chaotic nature of this right now. For my partner here, Jim Renee, I'm Zach Kyleman saying so long. Thanks a bunch. Follow us on social media at InWallsPod. Again, that's at InWallsPod. Subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're watching right now, what are you doing? Hit the sub button right there on the bottom. And click the bell to get reminders. It builds morale. Thanks again to the ref for giving us that little tidbit. I will always use that from now on. So will Jim. It's so catchy, isn't it? It's easy marketing. It's good marketing. It's good marketing.
It should be.
As always, we leave you with remembering one thing. Always take this home with you. Take something home with us.
Playoffs? We start a week away and you're talking about playoffs. And don't be a jack out of the box.
See you next week, guys. Enjoy the playoffs. Catch you on Wednesday.